Okay, round 2 here. This one's going to be interesting because I've done a review on the Fly Superlace 2 gloves, and it was a little disappointing because of the quality control issues and the weight. So I decided, let's try again. Let's try the Superlace Lightning gloves. So this is what these are. These are Fly Superlace Lightning. I got these in 16 ounces in the red, gold, and white colorway. 16-ounce indicator. It's right here on the inside portion, along with the tag that says Made in Britain. Very important because the other gloves, the X-Line gloves, I believe they're made in China. So that being said, these ones are supposed to be of higher quality entirely. I do want to weigh them to make sure that the weight is at least a little better than the last time we did this. And I am going to try to see if you could do it here. And I probably can't see it because of the lights, but I will tell you what the weight is anyways when I put them on the scale. And this one is 15.1. 15.10, and this one is 15.13. Okay, so yeah, despite trying to go back at it again, we do realize that there is an issue with the weight with these gloves. This is the second time it's happened. I do want to reiterate though, I did get the X-Line before, the original Fly X-Line, and they were on weight, but they also made in China. So put that into perspective. The ones that are the most premium are having the weight issues, in my opinion. Being almost an ounce underweight is kind of a huge deal for a price tag of this type of glove. But regardless, we'll get into essentially the leather of the glove. The glove's leather. This is interesting. It definitely feels different. It definitely has like this kind of nice satin feel. A nice little shine. It's matte. It kind of looks like a matte glove. It doesn't have too much of a gloss, but it has a nice kind of shine to it. I love the leather on this glove. This glove is obviously has what they say it's Scottish leather, and I believe it's goat skin. So just that alone makes the leather feel different and have this nice, very, very, very premium feel of leather. So I would never say anything bad about what they use in terms of materials of the glove because it's so good. It's just, it smells amazing too. At the end of the day, it's a really, 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 really nice smelling leather. As you can see, the leather here on the back side, it's more textured. So it has a nice textured leather here on the back side, and it feels nice. It's really, really nice glove. Yeah. So ultimately, it has all different types of texture. This nice smooth texture to this nice, rough, type texture that gives the glove a lot of of a really, really, really premium feel of a glove. In terms of the liner, this is interesting because, this liner is very, very silky. I don't know if you could see it, but in terms of just the overall feel of the liner, it feels like a polyester type nylon liner. Very, very silky, very, very cooling to the touch. Honestly, it feels really premium inside. It kind of feels like a little bit like my Bayonetta gloves in terms of the inside liner. Very, very nice premium materials that they use on the inside liner. It's very, very comfortable, so I'll give it that as well. When it comes to the padding, I know it's a multi-layer padding. I don't know what or how many layers necessarily. I know that the sizing of the padding here is not very large. I would say it's probably under 2 inches, honestly, in padding. So in terms of that, I don't know how many layers necessarily is used. I will say that they say it's a high density padding on whatever that they use, but we'll get into the how soft it is and things like that later in the video. But ultimately it's a multi-layer padding, so keep that in mind. No horsehair here, but yeah. When it comes to the design of the glove, I really love the design. I think this is one of the sharpest gloves I've seen. It's very, very nice, clean design here. I love the fact that they have a plastic cuff here. It has a nice, kind of this nice plastic cuff along with the plastic cuffs. Other gloves, they put a plastic cuff over, and they don't stitch the plastic cuff through here. And this is different because they obviously stitch the plastic cuff over. I can feel the stitching over onto the plastic cuff into the leather itself. In the plastic cuff, you can actually see that they have, you know, the letters Fly with, you know, with their logo here. And that's kind of on the plastic itself. It's not on the leather. So in terms of it, it kind of feels like it's raised. I don't know if you can notice it, but it feels kind of like it's the actual words a little bit raised over instead of, you know, being flat on the leather. The stitching right here is super good. I mean, it's very, 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 very clean stitching. So they did a really good job with that. In terms of the design of the glove, we have, you know, I understand what they're doing here to make the glove look really, you know, cool and unique. But ultimately, this like lightning bolt or, you know, zigzag type of design, it creates, in my opinion, it creates weak points in the leather and in the stitching. And you could see some portions of the glove here. I don't know if you can notice it, but they do have pulling on portions of the corners. So as soon as you see that go straight, if this was like a straight up thumb and it cut in, you wouldn't see this extra pulling here. So you're just adding more tension points, in my opinion. So you're trying to do it, you're trying to make a nice stylish glove, but at the end of the day, it's creating a glove I think is less durable. Now, I don't know how much less durable, and I don't know if it's going to be that big of a deal, but it's just something I have to address, because obviously there's more pulling on this side of the glove than there is on this side of the glove. And even when you come over to the palm side, there's more pulling on this side of the glove, on this portion. Like I said, another weak point that could be potentially, you know, you don't need to have it, opposed to this, which is far cleaner on this glove. So yeah, so the design, it looks sharp, it's nice, but you have to then think to yourself, a design, what's more worth it, a design that looks good or a design that will potentially last longer and ultimately give you more durability? So that is the caveat here. That's kind of like where you gotta make your decision on your own, right? So style over, you know, essentially anything else, or make sure that, you know, the glove doesn't have as many weak points. But ultimately, the stitching from the inside here, you can see this nice double stitching. I love the double stitching here. You know, I see this in probably most gloves nowadays, the double stitching up across everywhere. You'll see here on the inside, they have a really, really, you know, double stitching on the bottom of the grip bar, on top grip bar, and it's very, this is kind of small. I would say that the grip bar itself here is small. It's nice and long, don't get me wrong, but in terms of the actual size of it, it's very small, and I would say it's kind of a medium to firm density. Something I don't necessarily feel. One thing that's also interesting about these gloves, well, I guess it's not too interesting, because I think when you get to a premium glove, a lot of them don't have air holes, surprisingly. You know, but these don't have air holes, not even in the thumb or not even on the fingertip compartment. I don't think that's a big deal, because the liner itself is a really, really, really comfortable liner. It's very comfortable, it's very cooling, it's not hot or anything like that, so I don't think you have a problem sweating too much. I don't necessarily. So I'm just, you know, other people are different. The laces kind of have that rolled lace feel, and they are very, 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 very long, and I love that about laces. The laces are long. I really appreciate that. They don't have much of a stretch to them. Kind of have like a cotton feel. So keep that in mind. I like the laces though. They're one of my favorites. I like these type of style of laces. Very durable, and they definitely go around the glove a decent amount of times to give you a nice, you know, a nice cinched up feel on the wrist, which is really nice. Now, in terms of the kind of punch dynamic of the glove, you can see that the glove itself kind of has a flatter punch surface. It's not the biggest flat punch surface, which is not bad, because you kind of want to be able to kind of shovel hook sometimes or something like that. And it kind of gives you that nice slim look to the glove. But it gives you a nice, I would say a nice flat punch surface. Decently flat punch surface. Not completely flat, but a nice flat punch surface where your knuckles will then eventually, you know, be in the right spot for when you're actually landing shots. So this is really nice. Now, in terms of the sizing of the glove, I will say that these gloves are, I would say, I like the sizing of them. I don't really have a glove to compare them to. I wish I did bring one. But I would say that ultimately, when I first got them, I thought maybe they were on the medium to larger side. But I think, they're kind of where they need to be. I think this is kind of like where a nice 16-ounce glove should be. And I'll say that because once I put my hands in the glove and I cinch up my wrist, the wrist actually gets a lot smaller. And when you put your knuckle guards in, you'll see that this starts to round out in terms of how flat this is. You can see how flat this is. This will start to round out when you put knuckle guards and stuff in. So it creates a nice, a little more compact look to the glove. So ultimately, I think the glove is right where they need to be. I think that they're perfect. A good medium. Some people might look at them and maybe say a medium and a tad large, but I don't think so. As for the gold logo here, I think it's really nice. I don't think it's perfectly centered, but I don't think it's not even close to being noticeable, so I think that's really nice as well. The gold here, it has a little bit more of a scuff. I got that this is more perfect than this one. I don't know if you could see it. It's a tad scuff. I'd bring it up. I don't think it's a huge deal because you could barely see it. I think it's more something you see when it's reflected towards some type of light. Now, in terms of the comfort of the glove, when you put your hands in, it is something I think is the best part of the glove. It's just the comfort of it. It is very, very nice. It's nice and cooling and nice and silky in here. The hand compartment is definitely large enough to put any type of wraps or anything you want to put on, because it has a very, very, very good hand compartment here. It's for good size hands people too. People do complain about the thumb. I don't have that problem whatsoever. I think the thumb is very, very nice. I think it has a nice curvature to it. I know that the Superlace 2s, people say that they prefer that thumb. I don't necessarily prefer it. I think that thumb is way huge, way big, and I feel sometimes like when your thumb is kind of swimming around in that kind of glove, it doesn't feel that great. I like this thumb because it kind of keeps your thumb in more of a position for you, opposed to being too freeing or too big. So, and that's just my opinion. So ultimately, the thumb does a good job. There is no pulling on it when I put my hands and open my hands and close my hands. There's no pulling, so that's really good as well. And the inside here on the fingertip compartment, they do have like a rolled piece of I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the liner, maybe it's the leather, but it does protect it from the actual portion of the fingertip compartment of the stitching, and it does a good job. It's actually a pretty good size, so it definitely feels like a secondary grip bar. Once you put your fingers over that portion, it kind of cinches in your fingers, your fingertips, and it kind of gives it a nice snug feel on your fingertips. I love that. I feel the fingertip grip bar more than I feel the tiny grip bar here on the palm side. So just keep that in mind. I think that they did a better job on the fingertip compartment, and if they would have just made this a little bigger, I would have really, really enjoyed it. But in terms of the comfort of the glove, it is very, very comfortable, and I love how it feels. So keep that in mind. What I mean by, I'm just going to try to cinch this up the wrong way, but just to show people that, essentially the glove could look a little more compact once you do cinch them up and you get them tight. So you see that it has this nice feel. On the inside, I could open and close the gloves very, very, very easily. These are, easily when you get them, they're pretty much broken in. So extremely good. I love the fact that you can do that. The inside liner isn't very baggy. There is a tad smidge of a little bit of bagginess, but it's not that hardcore. It's not a huge deal where your hands are swimming up inside the liner like sometimes it does, unfortunately. Now we're going to get to the padding of the glove. The glove itself, it has I would say, like a medium to soft padding. Once you break it in, it gets softer and softer. For some reason, the glove itself kind of feels like it's going to get too soft, but it hasn't happened to me yet. But there's a part of me that feels like it will get soft, maybe break down a little bit, but I don't know. Because that happened to the Fly X gloves I had. Essentially, the padding was getting softer and softer. And I thought to myself, it's only going to get softer. So, I don't know. But this might be different. But I know that they utilize the same padding as what they say. It's just everything else is different. So, I'm going to venture off and say that the padding is, medium to soft, and it has a really, really nice feel to it. Now, when it comes to the punch surface, now my hands are like this, so this is how it stays. This is basically what it looks like when it's staying here. It has like a straight up feel and then like a dip down, right? Now you're gonna clamp your hand here. You're gonna see that it becomes a little rounded on there, but you'll see that your knuckles will be more pronounced right here. So you'll be able to land better with your knuckles once your hands are pretty much cinched down. All the way open, that's what it looks like. And then you're gonna get that, I would say, let me see if you get a good pop out of this. The thing about the glove is that I think it feels good, and everything about it feels good. It feels good on my hands when I'm using it on the bags and stuff. I like how you could kind of be precise with your shots, and you could kind of dig in with other shots as well. Like, I like that feeling, but I don't get that satisfying pop with them like I did with the other gloves. You know what I mean? So there is a pop to it. There is okay feedback, but it kind of feels, in my opinion, like when you hit it, it feels like it's missing something a tad bit. I think these gloves, in my opinion, will be, they definitely shine in terms of sparring. I think that they have a nice profile in terms of a defensive profile, where this is wide enough to defend yourself, but also it's thin enough to kind of get in between your sparring partner's hands. It's not necessarily a thick or big poofy glove. So it has a nice slimness to it, and it has, this portion is nice and wide, so you could definitely block shots. And you could ultimately open and close your hands with ease to make sure that you're able to essentially, pretty much hand fight in terms of making sure you could parry shots and things like that. So sparring 100%. Bags, it's okay, in my opinion. Some people might think it's different. Maybe beat it. I want to beat it up a little more, but at the same time, I want to get to the point of why I'm not trying to beat these up that much, and it's the price. When it comes to the price, it makes it really hard for you to really put these gloves through the ringer, because obviously any glove that's over $400, it's very difficult to do that, because you feel like you're basically, destroying something that is a kind of a work of art. It's very, very, very nice. It's like wearing a nice pair of shoes, right? Sometimes people will buy a really, really nice pair of shoes, but that's not necessarily the shoes that they play basketball in. That's the shoes that they, essentially go out in, because they don't want to ruin them. So I feel like you cross the threshold in price. So ultimately, I'm kind of nursing these, and that's pretty much it. I think that, I paid the $468, I think, for these gloves. I know they're $455 on their website, and you got to pay for shipping on the Fly website, and it's probably gonna end up being, depending on, I don't even think you pay for shipping, but for me it was taxes. So when I put my information in, obviously the taxes showed up, and it ended up being about $472 on the Fly website. I got these from Box Up Nation. They were cheaper, but they were somewhere in like that $460 range in Box Up Nation. So and I do Box Up Nation because I live in the United States, and Box Up Nation is in the US. So final thoughts, I think these are really sharp looking gloves. They're fantastic. I think that I like these better than the Superlace 2s. I think they fit better. They're more snug, in my opinion. I don't think that these gloves are too snug. I think your hands could definitely fit in them if you have bigger hands. And I think that, the Superlace 2, for some reason, I just didn't. I think maybe I got a defective pair, because they were about almost 2 ounces underweight. This one's about 1 ounce underweight. So for the money you pay, they need to make sure that they give you an accurate glove. Because if I go into a gym and I'm 200 pounds or whatever, and they allow me to use 16-ounce gloves, which sometimes they don't. Sometimes I got to go 18, sometimes even higher. They're not going to, if they ever weighed a pair of gloves and it was an ounce under, some people may not like that. I know gloves are not perfect, but when you're paying $450, you kind of want to expect it to be at the most perfect it could possibly be. And if you don't do that, then we're getting into a territory where, what are you paying for? Are you going to be better off with the Chinese made X2s or something like that, where they have maybe better quality control and may have a better closer to the ounces that they're indicated as. So ultimately, yeah, other than that, the glove is really great. I think it's definitely a good buy. The money is high. Yeah, so if you have the money, buy it. I mean, that's up to you. In terms of, the quality and stuff like that, it's very, very up there. It's just in terms of, using and performing gloves, if you're just someone who really wants to use a glove at the gym, maybe go for the X line, because the price here is is very, very high. And I understand they use very, very good materials, but just keep that in mind. That's my final thought. I think that these gloves are really good. They're all around really good, great gloves. If you're looking for a fantastic bag glove, this is probably not it. If you're looking for a fantastic sparring glove, this is probably it. But if you can use this for pretty much anything and be happy. And it's definitely a sharp looking glove, so it's a nice little flex if you decide to get them. So that's my review. There you go.